The movie made hard work, low pay, and a mother's will to survive. The movie Made is about a mother named Alex who finally escapes an abusive relationship to give a better life to herself and her daughter. She works hard and does everything she has to do to be able to get on her own 2 feet and get her own place for Maddie and herself and get away from Sean and his abusive techniques. Sean, the child's father, becomes verbally and emotionally abusive, which causes it to be a toxic environment for their daughter Maddie. This movie also shows the challenges the system gives us when things get too rough and we need the services and resources to get through what we're dealing with. The grandmother Paula deals with her own mental health issues, generational trauma, and isn't the reliable person in Alex's village like she should be. Paula makes things more of a struggle without being a part of Alex's support system, which makes Alex which means Alex must go through battles and challenges to maintain custody and to be able to prove that Sean is abusive. The main characters is Sean, which is Maddie's dad. Sean is an emotionally unstable father of Maddie, who, when sober, can be a caring man, but when drinking is involved, the cycle of abuse starts. Alex is the mother. She's Maddie's mother who finds the courage to leave with no support system and betters her and her daughter's lives. Maddie is Alex and Sean's daughter, who is the motivation for Alex's journey to leave the abusive household they were in. Paula, which is the grandmother, suffers from her own trauma and undiagnosed bipolar disorder, and doesn't really look at abusive men the way we should, but instead tries to influence Alex to go back to that. The cycle of abuse in relationships. In this movie, we tend to see the cycle of abuse and the pain of moving on from what Alex goes through when leaving Sean. We also see bonds forming through trauma, survival, and even motherhood. When trauma bonding, this is with Sean and Alex from manipulation and the emotional abuse that he put her through. We see Paula struggle with her undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which leads Alex into taking care of her. With Hank, Alex's father, we see him failing to be a father figure to Alex, which he has his own history of abuse and that he has dealt with, so he fails to support her through her own journey through it. With influence, we see Danielle, a mother who Alex met in the DV shelter. Influence Alex to fight for Maddie and to do everything she needs to do to give her the life that she deserves. Going to address that 51 to 75% of survivors develop PTSD just from their relationships. That 80% of individuals deal with emotional abuse and manipulation within their relationships. While psychological aggression affects nearly both half of men and women in the US. The main thing is having control or having that power over the other person. This usually is from a personality disorder or different patterns within their behavior. Some are eventually trauma bonded due to trying to survive and thinking that way of life is just normal. DSM-5 criteria. Exposure to trauma, emotional and physical abuse by Sean. The relationship was based off of fear and ended as physical danger. Intrusion symptoms. Psychological distress, psychological reactions, nightmares when recalling the abuse, flashbacks of emotional response, and hyperactivity when Sean would raise his voice. Avoidance. Avoidance of distressing memories and reminders that physical distance and the physical distance from Sean. The negative alterations. Negative beliefs from negative beliefs from both Paula and Hank. Alex also feels detachment, guilt, fear, and feeling numb and hopelessness. Alterations in arousal reactivity. Irritable, difficulty concentrating, insomnia, and exhaustion and chronic stress. Duration. 1+ month of symptoms. Abuse and trauma symptoms go over a long period of time. Functional impairment. Impairment in occupational, social functioning, difficult keeping a job, and being unstable emotionally and physically. Trauma. This movie shows a lot of different abuse and trauma related things like coercive control, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and psychological manipulation. Coercive control or wanting to have that dominance or power over Alex throughout the movie, which also shows that abuse doesn't just have to be physical. Institutional trauma. This is trauma caused by something or systems that were put into place to help. In this movie, we see it with the DV resources and the family court and how they both have failed Alex. Generational trauma. This is trauma that is passed down from your family. In this case, it's Alex's mother, Paula. She deals with undiagnosed bipolar and thinks it's better for Alex to be in an abusive relationship than to try to do it on her own and fail. She mainly normalizes that it's alright to be this way and to be in love with someone who would rather torture or cause her any stress. Paula dealt with being abused in her past relationships while Alex was growing up, so she thinks this is a normal way to live is through chaos and how Maddie might repeat the cycle of abuse growing up. PTSD is from witnessing violent events in life. In this case, Sean makes her be in a more survival mode, fight or flight, depending on Sean's moods. Alex ends up having flashbacks and replaying the moments that Sean frightened. Accuracies and inaccuracies. This includes that Alex is disassociative and disconnected with reality when Sean puts her through these things. When Sean punches the wall instead of hitting Alex, she freezes up and is fearful of him and what he can do to her. In a personal experience, this is when you start feeling like you're kind of trapped in the relationship. Due to all the traumatic moments Sean put her through, Alex ends up not feeling like herself and feeling more like her self-worthiness and ends up saying things like, "I'm so stupid," which shows that she's struggling with low self-esteem after everything she's been through and thinks that she can't get away and start her own life with Maddie. Alex must push herself to keep navigating herself through the system and try to get out of poverty and give herself and Maddie the life that they both deserve without Sean in the picture. In the movie, we see this in the legal system. The judge who takes Alex's case based her custody rights off of if she filed domestic violence reports against Sean and trying to prove abuse through documentation. We also see that the social worker who is on the case, they make it look easy to get help, but through Alex, they through obstacles she has to pass to get the resources that she needed. She needed certain documents of her abuse and the details that occurred during the matter. And instead of treating Alex like the person she is, she treated this whole case as just another case and didn't really care about her or Maddie's safety. Treatment plans. Treatment for PTSD, I would say cognitive behavioral therapy, as in helping to stop blaming others for the things that she had to endure. And somatic-based therapy would help. This would allow her to recognize the trauma stored in her body and why things are happening the way that they are, or making her freeze and be in the fight or flight mode. Treatment for psychological abuse is cognitive reconstructing and rebuilding her guard and learning how to relearn to trust herself would be a good one. And psychoeducation on dynamics that have to do with abuse in general, like understanding trauma bonding between Sean and Alex, and strengthening their weaknesses. Treatment for emotional abuse, attachment focused therapy, and exploring patterns in your life and building healthier habits instead of self doubting. Treatment for bipolar disorder. Paula probably needs to be on medication, but also some therapy like cognitive behavior therapy and recognizing her signs early on so that they don't affect anyone around her, including herself. She could also use family therapy. This may help reduce any generational trauma as well.